leather-bound book, right? I'm just like, this is weird. Like, this is, it's weird in a curious way. Like, why is this out? Everything else is filed and everything else. And so put on the cotton gloves because that's protocol. And then open the page and I start reading it. And like, you got to imagine, like, this book I mean, it's heavy, but then you open it and the pages and contrast are so thin, wafer thin, right? They're almost, you can see your fingers through the paper, and it's been typewritten. So I'm like, oh, this is old, right? This is, first
Hmm.
off, this is old. This is worth reading. And then I'm reading it. It says based on a true story, and it's written by Joseph Koski. And the front page says, as told to him by Stephen Bizik. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. So I keep going, and I find a picture of, and not, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but I find a picture with this gentleman, General Donovan. He is pinning a medal on Stephen Bizik, the author of the book. Well,
Hmm.
General Donovan, he was one of the most decorated officers in World War One. He then goes on to be a very successful lawyer, then creates the Office of Strategic Services in 1941, which becomes the CIA, right? So the
Hmm.
godfather of the CIA is pinning a medal on Steve Bizik, and Steve Bizik wrote the book that I'm holding. And I'm like, oh, this is amazing. I don't understand what's going on. This is too much information to process right now. But I keep reading it, and I'm like, oh my God, this is talking about his mission, Steve's secret mission, right? That he went on in 1944. They jump in to Southern Europe. They fight Nazis. They fight the fascists. They supply the partisans. They realize that they've been embedded with the wrong guys. That they shouldn't be working with the communist partisans, but with the democratic Chetniks. But everybody's slaughtering the Chetniks, and policies telling them they have to work with the communist partisans, right? So Steve's typing all this out, right? He recollects all this. And the best part is he's taking pictures with his secret camera the whole time through, right? So in the memoir, I'm finding these pictures of him being like, yeah, and then General Apostolsky, who, coincidentally enough, in the 50s becomes a national leader of Macedonia. But now in 44, we have proof of him running around doing horrible things to people, playing politics and doing all this stuff because Steve was there next to him when it was happening. And so I'm holding this memoir, and I'm just like, I'm like, I think this could reasonably be like 1946 is when it started coming out. Um, One of, if not the first memoirs of the OSS, because, and this is where facts have to get aligned. So the OSS turns into the CIA. The CIA then says, hey, we're going to recruit all the OSS guys, but then we're going to classify everything the OSS ever did, right? So OSS memoirs didn't come out till the 1980s, right? So here I am holding an OSS memoir written in 1946, 1 year before the CIA was created. And I'm just like, this memoir shouldn't exist because these weren't written until the 80s, but it does exist because I'm holding it. And inside is a picture of General Donovan pinning Steve Bizik, the author of the book. And I'm just like, brains blowing up. So I take the book, I turn to the curator, I'm like, can I take this? Like, can I physically take this and check this out at the museum? And he's like, no, we don't do that. And I was like, can you give me a copy of this? He's like, yeah, so we can give you a copy of this. So I get a copy of it, and I read it and I fall in love with it because the detail that he goes into, Steve goes into, he captures, and me as a Green Beret, right? My job is to go, quote unquote, behind enemy lines or work with the
Hmm.
resistance, right? Turns out he wrote it 80 years earlier, word for word, how to do it, and that he was doing it, right? And so now, me in my tail end of my career, I get to reflect all the way back in time through this memoir and see why I was trained to do the things I was supposed to do. Because um, this, we always get told this is what you have to do, but it's really hard to say this is what you have to do because 80 years ago there's proof of it having happened, and so for me it was a beautiful moment in time because I got to really appreciate the full cycle of it and to find it at the tail end of my career, right? So now I can turn it off, sort of like passing the baton back, right? I found this written 80 years ago. Now I get to recreate it. And, I found the families of Spike Mission, right? So the daughter, Nada, she's 60 years old.